It's important to understand where stuff is coming from on this form. When you lay things out at design time, what you're really doing is generating code. Well, let's look at that code. Well, right now, there's no code to look at. If I come here and choose View Code, well, there's a place you can add your own code, and we will very soon, but that certainly is not the code for this form that lays out this form. So it must be hidden somewhere else. Visual Studio 2008 does its best to make sure it doesn't hide any code from you, and so to see that code, you can come to the Solution Explorer window and choose Show All Files. You can get the same place by choosing the Project menu, Show All Files. And if I click that, you'll see a whole bunch more stuff appears in the Solution Explorer window. If I go to myformfile.vb, remember we renamed it from form1.vb, and expand that, we'll see a few more files. This file contains any resources you've placed on your form. We haven't, images, other sorts of graphic things, but we haven't yet. But there is the myformfile.designer.vb file, which we can double-click, and there is our code. Here, we have all the code that represents everything we've created so far. Let me put things away so we can see some of that. You'll see a number of interesting things in here. First of all, we'll see at the top an attribute. This attribute defines the behavior of this class that contains code, and for right now, we're not going to fixate on that. It's just information so that the compiler and the designer can work together when laying out this form. I'll let it go at that. We also have a partial class named myFormFile. What does partial mean? Well, if we go back to the original myFormFile and look at its code, you'll see that it has a public class myFormFile. Here, we have a partial class myFormFile. The partial keyword indicates to the Visual Basic compiler that when it compiles this code, it should take whatever code it finds in here and whatever code it finds in this file and compile it together into one class. This is a feature that was new in Visual Studio 2005. It wasn't available before that. It allows the compiler to separate one class into multiple physical files. That makes it easier for your code not to get mixed up with the designer's code at design time. This class inherits from system.windows.forms.form. There is a class named form in the forms namespace. Well, that's actually the system.windows.forms namespace that defines the behavior of a Windows form. This is where all the base functionality of a form comes from. The resizing, the caption, all the properties of the form. Our form inherits from the base form class in the .NET framework. Let me scroll to the bottom of this file and we'll find some interesting information. Down here at the bottom is a declaration for each control that you placed on your form. So each time you dragged a control onto the form, Visual Studio created each one of these references. The friend keyword indicates that code anywhere within this assembly can reference this control. The with events keyword means that Visual Studio can hook up events for this control without having to write any special code. Label 1, text box 1, button 1 are the names of those controls. And then we have the type of each control, label, text box, or button. Now these are variables that will refer to the actual controls on the form at runtime. But these variables currently don't refer to any actual control. They're variables that could refer to a control. We'll need some code that creates the instance of the correct class and hooks things up for us. Let's go back to the top